And joining us on the show is Seth Freeman, Senior MD GlassRather Advisory and Capital Group LLC. Welcome, Seth. So to begin
Thank
with,
you.
what is the reading between the lines here as Trump has placed the US's largest aircraft carrier in the Middle East?
Well, frankly, it's very interesting because I scanned, major business and financial press before our hit here tonight, this morning in India. And frankly, this has not been such big news in the United States. The headlines for this are found kind of buried below other issues.
So, but Seth, Trump at multiple occasions has said that he doesn't want to start a war in the Middle East. Then why is this move? And how are you looking at it, basically?
Well, frankly, as much as I totally disagree with most of Donald Trump's policies, the fact is that it's very common. It's a standard idea that diplomacy has to be mated with the threat of some military action, and that's oftentimes what makes diplomacy work. So, in that sense, um, adding this giant ship towards the Middle East and the rhetoric from the Trump administration from a negotiation standpoint, Frank, is pretty much what I would expect.
Absolutely. But as you said that you do not disagree with, you do not agree with a lot of policies of Donald Trump. But as Trump is preparing to strike Iran, are we in a spot where we can take this seriously? Because a lot of times Trump has made a U-turn. So are we in a are we in a situation where we take this really seriously, or is this some kind of a bluff or kind of an arm twisting game that Trump is playing right now?
Well, I do know that the concept of taco in India has really taken on, but I think that we always need to take Donald Trump seriously, and we have Pete Hegseth, who likes to call himself the Secretary of War, and it's quite remarkable. In spite of having attended Princeton and Harvard, sometimes you kind of wonder what's going on there at the Pentagon. But no, I think we need to take this very seriously. And Trump is quite serious, I believe, in having some negotiations that result in Iran giving up its nuclear program.
How does it change the geopolitical situation in terms of Iran and how the world looks at it going forward in the next couple of weeks from now?
Well, there is a broad understanding, I think, that Iran is, at the axis of evil, and at the same time, all of uh, this sort of development just creates a new form of instability. Um, I'm, I think we're going to have to see what happens when the markets are open on Tuesday. Um, and see if the rest of the world views this as a very threatening situation or just a developing situation. The one thing that many Americans question is this idea that Kushner, the son-in-law, who has no real official position in the government, is front and center in these kinds of negotiations, and um, we just have to sort of understand the dynamics of the situation here. But I do believe Trump is serious, and the rhetoric about the Iranian government, killing thousands of protesters. I'm not sure if that is a sincere concern, or also this is not only about nuclear but also about oil.
Seth, please continue to be with us. And even as the tensions between Iran and US continue to escalate, Trump has now called for a regime change in Iran, saying that this is the best thing that could happen. Listen into that reaction.
What can Iran do to avoid attack?
Give us the deal that they should have given us the first time. They give us the right deal, we won't do that. But, you know, historically, they haven't done that. I will say they want to talk, but so far they do a lot of talking and no action.
The president.
They've already started.
Do you want regime change in Iraq?
Well, it seems like that would be the best thing that could happen. For 47 years, they've been talking and talking and talking. In the meantime, we've lost a lot of lives while they talk, and legs blown off, arms blown off, faces blown off. This has been going on for a long time, so let's see what happens.
Coming back to you, Seth, is it only the nuclear deal or any other influence that's made Trump place the biggest aircraft carrier in the Middle East region?
Well, there's certainly big interest in regime change. I'm glad you played that clip. And, you know, Iran has been a thorn in the Middle East. It's been supporting terrorism around the world, and it is a constant threat to Israel. And in those ways, you know, a regime change may be very helpful. But the situation in the Middle East is always delicate. And again, this just inserts a lot of uncertainty.
So, Seth, thinking of a scenario where Iran is successful in its nuclear program, it does become a little dangerous as a geopolitical scenario. So, what should be the contingency plans in place, and how does the geopolitics change after this?
Well, we had the bombing, you know, several months ago. That was apparently a significant strike against the Iranian nuclear program. They remain committed to developing their nuclear program, although in the last few weeks they've expressed interest in potentially negotiating something. It's definitely a threat. At the same time, and one of the reasons for the heavy protests that we saw over the last month is Iran's economy is decimated by sanctions and internal banking problems. A giant bank imploded, and so there's a lot of pressure on the leadership there in terms of its economy, and like all governments like to divert attention from the serious kinds of domestic issues and vilify the U.S., vilify Israel. And politically, it's probably very important for the regime to continue developing its nuclear capabilities, whether or not they really intend to use them. But politically, the messaging is very important.
Seth, to close this discussion, one final understanding for the sake of our viewers. If Trump has to win this, what does this win look like?
What does a win look like? A win might look like a promise from the Iranians to back off from their nuclear program. That might be the best win, one that doesn't involve significant, if any, military action, but Trump can say he was able to negotiate the kinds of concessions regarding the nuclear program. I do, but whether or not that can actually be monitored and verified after such a promise, that's a whole other story.
Thank you, Seth, for joining us on this special broadcast and making the viewers understand that how does the geopolitical scenario shape up.